And joining us now is Nathan Gonzalez, editor and publisher of Inside Elections. Nathan, welcome. Big news today for Dr. Oz. How do you think this might shake up the field, and do you think it could really help Dr. Oz, this endorsement?
Well, I think first you'd always, in a Republican primary, you want to have Trump's endorsement because he's so popular with base Republican voters. This particular endorsement was a little bit of a surprise because typically we're seeing Trump try to endorse frontrunners or people that he thinks are going to that have a more of a sure bet of winning, and thus he can pad his win-loss record. But in this case, Dr. Oz is one of the top candidates, but he hasn't had the momentum. Dave McCormick, the wealthy former hedge fund owner from Connecticut, has been the front runner, and so this shakes up the race a little bit. And the race is coming up. It's May 17th, and we'll see if it's able to push Dr. Oz back up into that kind of one-on-one contention with McCormick.
Well, they're both showmen, so maybe there's that kindred spirit about having that celebrity background. Nathan, there are at least 12 major elections now with a Republican incumbent set to face major challenges from members of the GOP. How extensive is the Trump effect nationwide?
Well, what we're seeing is that Trump's endorsement in primaries is important, but it's not sufficient. It is not enough just for a candidate to have Trump's blessing. It's up to candidates to use that endorsement to raise money, to communicate it to voters, whether it's in TV ads or radio ads or direct mail pieces. And some candidates are doing a better job than others. But just having Trump's endorsement does not guarantee that you're going to win. And so you have a wide variety of candidates from Congresswoman Liz Cheney in Wyoming, who I think faces a very serious primary, to maybe Congressman Tom Rice of South Carolina, who isn't at as much of risk of losing a primary. But what I'm interested in watching is what happens as these primaries play out, and if Trump's candidates don't win, how does he react? And does that cause him to shake up how he endorses candidates that are late in primaries later on through the summer?
Yeah, and what could it mean for him for 2024? What does Trump's Big 12 strategy, Nathan, tell you about his possible run in 2024?
Well, I think it shows that he is focused on defeating people who he thinks has done him wrong, and in this case, voted to impeach him, or in the case of Secretary of State Raffensperger in Georgia, who didn't do enough to overturn Georgia's election results and give those to him. He is on a mission to make sure that he ends those different individuals, that he ends their political careers, and that's fine, but that also isn't necessarily the same thing as being focused on Republicans winning back the House and the Senate. And we'll see if in some cases, potentially the Trump candidate, if they're able to win a primary, might actually make it more challenging for Republicans to win back the House and win back the Senate. So the Trump is under the Republican Party umbrella, but the party doesn't necessarily have the same goals that he does.
From Raffensperger and Kemp in Georgia to most recently Fred Upton in Michigan, the list is long. Nathan, are there any matchups you're using as a canary in the coal mine ahead of the midterms?
I think it's like asking me to choose a favorite of my children. I think they all have fascinating impacts. I think we'll need to wait until late spring, early summer to look at it in totality. Is there a clear trend that the Trump-endorsed candidates are doing well and are prevailing in these key races, or are they falling short? But just kind of identifying one, sometimes there are unique circumstances to that race that could cause it to not be that canary in the coal mine.
All right, Nathan Gonzalez of Inside Elections, always good to see you. Thank you.
Thanks, Nathan.
Thanks.